Man, I love this. I love South Texas.
The Kansas City Royals select Blake Mitchell.
Corpus Christi John Paul II are the state champions.
South Texas, we're super proud of the baseball, and it's only going to get better.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the South Texas High School Baseball Podcast. I hope that you enjoyed that little intro that I put at the beginning. I just finished making that today, and I've got the timeline up on my screen here. But I've been wanting to make that for a little while, and after the interview with Jose, I've finally got enough sound bites to make it happen. So I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll update it as we have more guys on just to keep it fresh and exciting. Our guest today made my job really easy, and he reached out to me about coming on. Today I've got on Andrew Hernandez. He's coaching at Wharton County Junior College with the baseball program there. So I'll let him give a little bit more background on who he is, where he's from. A lot of you are familiar with him. And if you're not familiar with him, you're probably familiar with his brother, who has also been on about a year ago.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Great opportunity to be on the podcast and everything. But I wish I was the head coach, but unfortunately not yet. But Andrew Hernandez from Corpus Christi, Moody, Moody, I guess you can say. That's how they say it in Houston. But 2018 grad, got to play at the next level, fortunate enough, but was a part of the 2017 state semifinalists, part of that class that was really good that year. So
you graduated from Moody, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
You're from Corpus.
Right.
And where did you play in college? I know we were talking a little bit off camera about a couple of different stops. So give us your college playing career, kind of in a nutshell real quick.
Yeah. And I think it's a good opportunity to look at the high school career a little bit, because I wasn't one of those guys that was playing from his freshman year to his senior year. You know, I didn't make varsity till my junior year, so I kind of had to sit behind and kind of watch people play. But I got my opportunity in my senior year and got to earn a scholarship to Texas A&M-International. Got to play a lot there as a freshman, and then transferred to Wharton County Junior College for the next 2 years, and then spent my final year of my career at Texas A&M-Kingsville. So
awesome. What went into the decision to leave A&M International and go to Wharton? Was it a coaching change? I know that sparks a lot of guys, or was it just a personal decision? You felt like it was the best move for you?
Yeah, I think it was more on a personal level, just for the simple fact that, like I said, out of high school, I had 3 offers, 2 junior colleges and obviously international, which I ended up setting my sights on. But I think for me, like, I was a late bloomer. I didn't throw hard, wasn't the most physical, wasn't the best person on the field, but I got the opportunity to play at the next level. And, as a freshman, I got a lot of opportunity to play through about 50 innings as a freshman, which is a lot as a freshman. But, I think after that season, I realized that I could play at the highest level. So made a decision to change the scenery and head to the JUCO route, which I heard great things about. You get to go in there and it's a grind, and you spend 1 year there, which turned into 2 because of COVID. But, had my sights on playing at the highest level, and JUCO is very competitive landscape. So.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times JUCO is actually probably more competitive most of the time than D1, because a lot of those guys went D1, decided to go JUCO, and are trying to make the best of their time at JUCO to get back to the D1 level to get a starting spot or something to help be a little better developed, whether it be physically or skillfully, whatever it may be. But okay, cool. So obviously you're from Corpus, like we just said. Where did you go to middle school? Where did you start playing baseball here in town? Give us a little bit of your childhood. And, maybe you can talk about your siblings too. I don't know how many siblings you have, but just let us know a little bit more about your background.
Yeah. So I've been playing baseball ever since I can remember, 3-4 years old, out in Oso, the old Oso, not the new Oso. So
okay.
The young people might not know what the old Oso used to be like, but we used to play there a lot. Then kind of growing up, when my parents divorced and everything, I moved out to Kingsville with my mom and went to middle school out there. And when it came down to head to high school, I knew I had my sights set on Moody. Ever since I was a kid, I went out there to every Moody game, been a part of the state championships, being out there in Round Rock, being in the stands and just wanting to be a part of that from a young age. I knew exactly where I wanted to go play. Mom wasn't a fan of it. My mom wanted me and my brother to stay in Kingsville and play at Bishop, which, they were a good program in their own. But
Yeah.
at the time, there was nothing like Moody baseball, that Moody Magic. So
Yeah. And I guess at that time, so obviously, I'm sure you remember the years that Bishop made it to state in, I guess, 2013, 2014, or what maybe might have been 2015. But when Coach Moody was there, that was probably right before you were in high school.
yeah, so 2014 was my freshman year. So I was already in high school.
Okay. So yeah. So was there any thought, maybe I'll go to Bishop?
I'll say this, my junior year, when I was a part of that state team, I never told this to anybody except my parents, but I was really close to like, I'm going to leave schools. I'm going to transfer. I'm going to go play at Bishop. Like, I know I'll play there. But I think my parents really said, like, if you're going to start something, you better finish it. Like, you really want to be a part of a winning program. There's no other like Moody baseball. So I decided to stick it out. And I think hindsight's 2020. Obviously it worked out, but I think it was the better decision in the long run. Obviously I got to play more as a junior, but I think, it was something I really hold myself a high standard to, like just having that enough confidence in myself to say I'm going to stay put and just trust the coaches and trust myself to be on the field one day. So
what year did you graduate high school? Was it 2017?
2018. So that 2017 was when we had Marcus Cantu, Rob Arredondo, Ramsey Flores, Nate Medina, Alec Martinez, Roy Sandoval. I mean, studded roster.
Yeah.
That a lot of them went to go play college baseball. So there wasn't much playing time for the juniors that didn't have a lot of experience like myself. So it's hard to get innings, here and there, little pop-up innings. So it's hard to get in there.
And growing up, were you always a pitcher?
No. So
when did you start pitching?
I pitched at a young age, but it wasn't my main position, kind of more background. When I was a kid, like I said, always out there at the Moody games and always looked up to Coach Gallegos, who was the coach at Moody at the time. And, he nicknamed me Spark Plug. He goes, "You're a spark plug, man. You plug you at any position and you're going to play." So that's what I was. I played second, outfield, catcher, third, first. You put me on the field, that's who I was. I really didn't get on the mound that much, especially in high school. But when I got to my junior year, I think the success my brother had in high school, they were like, well, you should try to get on the mound too. So, threw a little bit and had no idea the mindset about pitching. But as time went on, especially in my senior year, I grew a lot as a pitcher and started to separate myself and kind of see like, this is my way to college baseball. As much as I used to love hitting and fielding, I couldn't do it at the next level. I couldn't do it. I went to my first visit at A&M-International and had me do like a workout and, like I'd get on the mound. I'm like, this is easy, right? This is the easy part. It gets to hitting and I'm like, man, this machine's eating me up. These ground balls are hit a little bit harder than they are at high school. So it's a little bit different change of pace. And that's when I kind of realized like, we put the bat and glove down and just get on the mound and throw it over the white thing. So
there you go. So you were in a sense kind of a blank check as far as a pitcher goes in high school.
Yeah, it was just kind of go up there and see what you got. Like it wasn't like, I don't know how to explain it. It just kind of fell into my lap almost kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something that they like, I first got my first taste of pitching in like high school, like a true start. Mm-hmm. They needed somebody to go throw on JV. So I moved down to JV that game and I threw I was like 1 out away from a perfect game.
Oh, wow.
So then I was like, man, this is fun. Like pitching's fun. So I kind of just got to get more innings on the mound. Not as much innings on the mound my junior year, but obviously a lot more my senior year because we lost everybody pretty much.
Yeah.
That entire 2017 senior class. So,
man, that's pretty impressive to go. I guess we'll say 2 years from not really pitching to pitching in college.
Yeah, and I think like it's crazy. Like even my freshman year, like as much as I threw, I didn't have a mindset about pitching. It was I'm gonna try to just throw this thing as hard as I can over the plate. Didn't worry about mechanics. Thought process, anything. It was just throw. So
yeah,
looked at the end of the year, I struck out 50 guys, but I walked 40 something guys too. I was like, that's not great, So when I got to Wharton, I definitely focused more on filling up the zone and stuff like that. And found my my niche as a pitcher. Mm-hmm. So
tell us a little bit about your recruitment your senior year. So you settled with going to A&M-International. You made that decision. And that ended up being your freshman year of college. What went into your recruitment as far as directly out of high school, that senior year, where you realize, oh, my path to the next level is as a pitcher? What schools were interested, if there were others, and did you consider any other schools as strongly as you did A&M-International?
Yeah. So A&M-International was the biggest offer that I had, just in terms of the NCAA. And then I don't know if you've ever seen their campus. It's beautiful.
I have not been out there.
It's on the inside of a ranch. So there's like deer and everything. Like, it's very beautiful. And that kind of sold me. But the other schools that were on me were Northeast Texas Community College up in Mount Pleasant.
Yep.
Laredo Community College, and then Western Texas. I got the talks going with them. My summer ball coach, Johnny De La Paz, had a lot to do with, putting my name out there, but a lot of that stuff didn't happen until the spring. So like, it was a very like condensed process. Like,
pretty quick.
Yeah. Very quick to kind of just, playing. And then I go from playing to going on visits. And then a couple weeks later, I'm making my decision. So it's not like some of these kids now that are getting recruited as juniors and they're making their recruitment January or August 1st when they're available and stuff like that. So
was A&M-International the first visit that you went on?
No, Laredo Community College was the first one.
Okay.
So the head coach at the time, Mike Davila, actually used to coach at Tuloso Midway, was the head baseball coach, and then went to Laredo Community College. So he was really active in recruiting guys from Corpus because he knew the type of caliber player that we have here. So, he was big, and it was one of those two schools. It was between LCC at the time or International, because Western Texas was a little bit too far from home, and so was Mount Pleasant. So I never got to make a visit out there to Snyder or Mount Pleasant. So it's just a little bit too far out of my comfort zone at the time. For sure. Especially my first taste of college baseball. So
yeah. Nothing like a JUCO grind in the middle of nowhere at a small JUCO.
Oh yeah. And man, I think that's a misconception that everybody gets about junior college. Most towns are, small dots on the map. You miss it, like Wharton. I'd never heard of Wharton until I got there, and I'm like, man, they have a Buc-ee's here. I didn't even know.
That's probably what they're most well known famous for. So the Buc-ee's on the way to Houston.
Exactly. So when we're talking to players that we're trying to recruit, we're like, where Wharton is? No, not really. Well, the Buc-ee's off the highway, like on the way to Corpus. Oh yeah, we're right there. Yeah. So, yep.
Well, sweet. So then, so you finish out that year at A&M-International. You go to Wharton, and is the current head coach at Wharton right now, did you play for him?
Yeah. So that's what made my transitioning into coaching a lot easier at the college level, because it's the same staff that I played for back in 2020. First year head coach back in 2020, Trey Porras. I was actually the grad assistant here at A&M Corpus for 2 or 3 years. Okay. 2016 and 2017. So my brother's freshman and sophomore year. Okay. And then went on to UNM, where he was an alumni, played at University of New Mexico, and then came back to Wharton as an assistant in 2019, then came the head coach in 2020.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. And work with him after having played with him.
It's a different relationship from going from player to like now somebody that you're working with, and someone I consider a friend now, because we know each other on a more deeper relationship than we did as a player and coach.
Those 2 years, because you said that you spent 1 year and then 1 year turned into 2 years because of COVID. What were those 2 years like as far as playing time and your development as a pitcher? Because you're still pitching only at this point. You're only pitching in college. Yeah. What was the experience like for you at Wharton as a player, and what kind of success did you have in those 2 years there?
Yeah. So the first year, the COVID year, I had some success in the fall. Only a couple of outings where I got bumped around pretty bad, but kind of smooth sailing. And it was kind of one of those things where the other guys I'm playing with the Texas shortstop. I'm playing with the guys that are transferring in from Arkansas, like big name programs. So like, you got this guy that's transferring at D2. You're like, oh, he's not going to help us like as much as these guys from Arkansas or Texas are. So I remember this, and Trey, our head coach, doesn't remember it. He says it didn't happen, but I remember it because it stuck with me. We sat down in the exit meeting. He goes, you had a really good fall, but we just don't see you in the starting rotation. See you as a bullpen guy. So when I came home and got to the offseason, me and my brother, I was like, I gotta show these people I can be in the rotation. I got to prove myself that I can be in the rotation. So worked my tail off back here with my brother, and working out with him and getting to throw with him and stuff like that. So when I got back, I made the rotation and, had some really good starts. My first conference start was against Galveston and threw a complete game shutout, one hitter. So, had some success. Obviously, there were some ups and downs just because how competitive the conference is. And so we have some teams like San Jac and Blinn that are perennial powerhouses in junior colleges. And so those teams, they'll give you some tough outings if you're not on top of your stuff. So, and then obviously COVID got cut short. So, I remember the last game like it was yesterday, where I wasn't supposed to throw until Saturday in one of the 7-inning games. And it was Tuesday, I believe, Tuesday or Thursday. And in the middle of the game, like we're just playing it out like a regular game. Everything's going kind of smoothly. At this point, Division I had already shut down, but JUCO, because everybody's like, oh, it's JUCO. Like they got no rules. They're not going to stop playing, right? We were like, we're going to keep playing, right? And then I remember our coach huddled us up and he's like, this is our last game. So we're going to throw everybody. So it turned him from like one guy being the starter going like 5-6 innings where it's like one inning. We're getting everybody playing time. And I just remember like mentally, I couldn't be prepared to throw out there because I'm like, I don't have any offers right now. I don't have a place to go play after this year. Like, what does college baseball look like for me next year? So it's kind of hard to wrap your head around going out there and being able to pitch. I don't even remember how my outing was for the inning I threw, good, bad, or ugly. But definitely it was something that was kind of just took the world by shock. So.
Was it easy for you to decide to stay at Wharton for that following year?
Yeah, so I actually went to go play summer ball in Texarkana for the TCL, Texas Collegiate League, which is one of the big ones in Texas, the biggest one in Texas, and one of the biggest ones across the nation in terms of collegiate leagues. Played up in Texarkana. And the cool thing about that year was because they had no minor league ball, multiple minor league teams made collegiate teams that joined the TCL. So we got to go to the Tulsa Drillers field. We got to go to Amarillo's AA field. We got to go to Frisco. San Antonio had like the Flying Chanclas.
Yeah.
Like, there was a bunch of teams that got added in that, me being, 18, 19 at the time, like I didn't play in too many minor league ballparks except Whataburger Field, which by the way, Whataburger Field's still the nicest ballpark I've ever played in. So
nice. Yeah.
So that was something that was cool. So as I was going through that, the NCAA made the rule, and it kind of passed on to JUCO that they would give eligibility back to everybody. So I got that whole entire year back on my plate. So it just kind of left me to going back to Wharton.
Yeah. Did that throw off your schooling at all?
Yeah, so it did, because when I got there that third year, I'd already attained my associates after my second year there. So I was basically taking GPA boosters at that point, PE class, like.
So it's pretty easy.
It was easy, but at the same time, it's like it took a year out of my degree plan to where I wanted to be at. So it kind of, sucked, but it was, for the best, because I got to play another year, and that's what that was the main thing, was I get to play and get to be a part of a staff that I've already known that can produce good baseball and stuff like that. So
did you ever fail any classes like like a certain Hernandez?
So common knowledge or common thing that we have in the family is school is just kind of one of those things where it's just we just can't get along with it.
You just have to do it.
You just got to do it, bite the bullet and do it. So like it's something that I'm still working on currently, but it's been harder now that I've gotten into college baseball coaching. It's only can take classes here and there. So, but yeah, definitely one of the toughest classes I've ever taken, or some of them were at Wharton actually.
I feel like that's how it is. I feel like a lot of people say that the classes at Del Mar are harder than the classes at A&M Corpus.
The university classes are cakewalks compared to junior college classes.
Wow.
Like for some reason, Wharton, back when I was playing, was called the Harvard of the junior college. But I don't know how that started, but no, there was it wasn't all tough where you couldn't do it. But there were some classes, like my humanities class, I had to go to my coach and be like, Coach, this is the hardest class I've ever taken. So I had to go like a different route to get my associate's degree just to, finish that off. So
yeah,
it was definitely something that was like, man, this is way harder than university. So.
And as far as scholarships, what percentage of school for you was covered by a baseball scholarship at A&M-International and at Wharton?
So because my parents were divorced, I got a lot of financial aid. So the scholarship, they didn't have to give me a full ride. They gave me, half scholarship. I think I got like 25% is what they used to call it back at my freshman year is what they told me. So tuition was like 16 grand a year. So they gave me like $4,000. So that was like 25%. And then my financial aid covered everything. So
there you go.
Yeah. And then so the same thing at Wharton and at Kingsville too. So Kingsville was a little bit less because they split all their scholarships up evenly.
Yeah.
So everybody was on the same scholarship, no matter where you came from, no matter what your resume was. So that way they could give out more scholarships because I think it was like 11.7, but now that's obviously changing with the new rule change.
I guess that is pretty nice of Kingsville to split it up evenly. It is helpful if you're smart to get academic money and
Pell
not
Grant,
just
Texas
athletic.
Grant, all that stuff. Yeah.
I got the Texas Grant.
Yeah.
When I was in school here at A&M Corpus, I didn't live on campus, so I didn't pay for housing. I lived with my aunt for free pretty close to here. And I got probably $2,600 in federal aid from the FAFSA application. And then I got another $2,500 a semester from the Texas Grant, which was like the easiest to maintain because it's like you just need a 2.0 GPA or higher, and you get $5,000 a year. Of course, I'm gonna do that. I totally get the financial aid aspect of it.
No, it was
having
awesome.
to take that
having
into
enough
consideration.
from scholarship and financial aid to pay for housing too and stuff like that. So it was something I got to really take advantage of.
So then that second year at Wharton, when did you decide to go to Kingsville for the following year? And what other schools did you consider, if any? Yeah,
so I mean, I didn't throw the hardest. I didn't have the talented right-handed arm like my brother did. So I was more of a strike thrower, finesse guy, landing multiple pitches in the zone. On a good day, I'd run it up to 87, 89. So for Division I's, that was a little low on their radar. So I had a lot of Division II's like Texas A&M-Kingsville. A&M-International wanted me back. It was a different coaching staff. And then I had some NAIAs, D3s around the country kind of, in the mix. And it was actually between the number 4 in ranked NAI at the time, University of Cumberland's in Kentucky and Kingsville. I had told my parents that when A&M-International called, they gave me a bigger offer than what they did out of high school. They were like, we really want you. And I just told my parents, I didn't spend 2 years at junior college to go back to the same school. I wanted to see a different landscape. And at the time, the only thing that kept me away from Cumberland's, because they had a great program, they offered me a really big scholarship. Like I had to pay for nothing, like was the driving out there. I think it was 14 hours away from Corpus. And I always valued like my parents coming to see me play. Like that was a big thing because at the time I thought I could play pro ball, right? So in my mind, I'm like, when I go play pro ball, like my parents are never gonna get to see me play. Like here and there they will, but as long as I'm in college, I want to be able to be close to home so that way they can come see me. And obviously Kingsville being right in the backyard of where I grew up, so definitely made my decision a lot easier. So just a comfort level. Hindsight's 2020. I think I should have gone out there and experienced Kentucky, but I think at the end of the day, like I'm happy with the way my career went out and happy with everything the way it transpired. So.
And what percentage of a scholarship did you get there at Kingsville? Was it the half split? Like you said?
It was kind of like I said. I think it was like $2,000 a semester, kind of like the same thing.
Okay.
So it was a little bit smaller end, but like I said, they were all spread out, and it was a smart way of doing it because you got more guys, you can bring in more guys in scholarship and stuff like that. So. It's a kind of a weird way you can, at NCAA, you can stack like academic and athletic scholarships. And junior college, you can't. So like, you can come in with a 4.0. We're not going to give you like academic money. Like you can't get the Texas or Pell Grant there. The only thing that you can get is financial aid and then whatever baseball scholarship you can. Obviously, junior college is very, very cheap compared to most universities. So that's why they don't stack academic money on top of it. So. But there's scholarships out there like anybody else can apply for. So you just got to go out there and apply for them. Yeah. And the school will give you money. But that's a little misconception that going from A&M-International where, I got the Texas Pale Grant, whatever it's called. And then I'm like, okay, I get the same thing. They're like, well, we don't actually offer it here. So a little bit different. So,
yeah. So going into Kingsville, tell us about that. I guess it was your 4th year playing in college.
Yeah.
So you end up getting injured. Is that right?
Yeah.
At what point do you get injured, and when do you realize baseball might not be in the future any longer?
Yeah. Oh, so actually in my 2nd year at Wharton, I missed some time in the middle of conference with some ulnar nerve inflammation.
Okay.
And so they kind of just told me like, yeah, take 2 weeks off and you'll be fine. You could get surgery if you want, but you don't really need it. And so I was like, okay, they told me I don't need surgery. I'm not going to do it. So I just kind of kept throwing and throwing. And I always had that mentality, like, I'm going to throw. Like, there's nothing going to keep me away from the field. Like, you're going to have to drag me off the field. And that whole fall, it was kind of just bothering me. But I just kind of kept pushing through it. And then I got back in the spring. And I remember just like the first bullpen I had, I was just throwing like high intent because I worked out with my brother the off season. So it wasn't like I didn't do anything the off season. I was ramped up and ready to throw. I just didn't feel right. It's just the ball felt like it was going in slow motion. So I talked to the trainer there and they're like, yeah, we can get it looked at. So I got it looked at and I went to Steve Hopkins, who did my brother's physical therapy too. And he's like, yeah, I would definitely go see an arm specialist. So I went in there and they're like, how long have you been throwing with this? I'm like, oh, probably about like a year and a half. And they're like, oh, you should have gotten surgery back then. So I had ulnar nerve decompression. So basically, I don't know if the camera can see the scar, but the ulnar nerve that runs through here, it basically wants to flip over your bone. It was flipping over my bone and causing inflammation. And every time I throw, I'd have like a golf ball sized knot in my elbow. So wasn't fun, but young, naive, you think you're invincible at that age. You think you can throw through everything. So I just kind of pushed it off. Obviously it wasn't smart, but definitely something that when I got the news that I needed surgery, it took a toll on me, having to drive 3 times a week to Corpus, which isn't a far drive, but it's having to go back and forth, going to class, going to practice, going to PT, all that stuff. It kind of it felt more like a job than anything. I used to have fun going to practice. I used to have fun being in the weight room. I used to have fun being out there with the guys. And then it turned into, man, I just want to go home already. I'm tired. I've been driving to Corpus. Now I'm back at practice, stuff like that. So definitely having that time away from baseball, like really kind of affected me in that way. And just I think I needed to take a step away. So I did. I took a step away and I said, I'm going to take a year off and get back into it. And in that year I took time off. I started coaching with 12 here in Corpus.
Oh, nice.
And I fell in love with coaching from there. So I was like, man, I really love this coaching thing. I don't think I'm going to go back to baseball. Obviously my mom and dad wanted me to play, but at the end of the day, I told them, I was like, I really love this. I have a passion for it. I love making people better and being in that atmosphere. So something that I never went back to is playing baseball.
Man. So did you play any game at all in the spring season at Kingsville?
No. So that initial bullpen that we came back in January is when I, went up to them and told them that my arm was really hurting. So the whole time I was a red shirt, medical red shirt, and hanging out in the dugout with the guys and just kind of rooting them on, high energy guy. And just, that was a good part. Like, I think that's the only thing that kept me in it was being around the guys. Like nothing is more fun. There's no other feeling than being in the dugout with the guys when you're just playing baseball. So that was something that kept me and was like, man, I need to keep playing. But when I got away from that is when I said, I think it's time for me to step away from baseball. So, and
at that point, was that 2022?
Yeah. So that was, I was there in the fall of 21, spring 22.
Okay.
So then that following year in the fall of 22 and the spring of 23 is when I started coaching with 12.
Gotcha. So you start coaching with 12. Is that just on a part-time basis?
Yeah. Cause I was like, I'm gonna go to school, finish my degree, and then, do both at the same time. And that's what I did. And started coaching with the little 14U team that they put together for me. And really was fun for me. It was just, the big thing I told the parents when I met them first day, like, I'm not trying to make your son Mike Trout. I'm not trying to make your son Barry Bonds. I'm not trying to make your son the next, Jose Trevino. I'm trying to make your son the best ball player at 14 years old. Get ready for high school baseball and then transpire. So started there and Got to coach a little bit with the high school program, kind of filled in for one of the coaches. He's getting married. So with his bachelor party and his wedding kind of being in the same season, I kind of took over the high school program for a little bit and got to coach in that. And so I got to coach at a little bit higher level. And then it was actually a tournament out in College Station. I posted like something on Twitter, and the head coach, Coach Pores, saw it, and he like texted me like, "Hey, do you want to get into coaching?" And I'm like, I'll think about it. Like, I don't know college baseball is really what I want to get into. And then I took some time and talked with my mom, and my mom's biggest point was like, if you do this like at 27 or 30, it's going to be a lot harder to like balance everything. Like, cause you're going to either have a job at a time, like, you know, you're going transitioning from having a stable job into pretty much grinding it out at the college baseball level. So she's like, if you're going to jump into it, you might as well jump into it now. So I called him back and was like, hey, I'm ready. Let's do this. I'm all in. So last year was my first year being on the staff, and it was awesome. So
that's awesome. Was it kind of awkward at all? I guess, did you have to go through an interview process with them or?
No. So I just had to submit my resume, and they kind of knew the person I was, and I was always a high, character person for them. And, I think that's why they reached out to me, because they knew the type of person I was. Like, I don't think they were offering that job to too many other people. So it was kind of a quicker process than most interview processes go. So I just submitted my resume, and then they said, all right, just got to do your training and then you're good to go. So it was pretty quick. So I want to say it was like August, and we had to be back on the 26th. So it was pretty late. So the process was already even quicker.
Yeah. So it was August of last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
It was a really quick process. So yeah, it was something that I'm glad I've gotten into. So
yeah, that's awesome. Are you 24?
24. Yeah. So last year was really hard being the young coach. Still is hard being the young coach, especially being a first year coach, because the guys want to be your friend first as opposed to being coach. And so you have to establish that line like, hey, I'm your friend. Yes. Like there's time that we can, talk everything else except baseball. But when we're between the lines, like we really got to focus on the game, getting you guys better. So it's something that, it's hard to balance, but if you can really establish yourself as a young coach and really let them know what the difference and when you can be their friend and when you can be the coach is really important. So
is the staff that you work with, the baseball staff, are they more of a younger group or kind of a mixed bag? So
the staff when I was there was Trey Pores, who was the head coach, John Cannon, Michael Molina, and Ricky Watkins. So those four were part of it. And then last year, our pitching coach and recruiting coordinator, John Cannon, just left to go take the Houston Christian recruiting coordinator job.
Okay.
So he took the job fresh out of pro ball in 2019. I think he was 27. Okay. So they were all like in their late 20s, like early 30s. Obviously now they're a little bit older, but still they're pretty young for the coaching range. So they're young. They have that balance of the new style of game where you dive into the analytics and everything, but they've been around coaches that are old school where you're like, get rid of the technology, just go out there and compete. So so they're different age range.
So there at Wharton, what all in your role do you do? Yeah,
so the first year was more just the assistant pitching coach, kind of just watch, learn, get to, get my ear in the conversations of how they go about their business and the recruiting process through the scouting reports, practice styles, stuff like that. But the good thing was like my first meeting with Trey was, hey, I want you to be a part of the recruiting process. Like, I want you to go out and recruit. I want you to come back and tell me what you think of the guy. Whether we see eye to eye on it or not, I want you to get a taste of that. He goes, because he said it when he was a young coach, he didn't get to be a part of the recruiting process. Like, obviously as a grad assistant, you're not allowed to go out there and recruit. Only assistant coaches and the head coaches can go out there and recruit. So he's like, I want you to start early, start reading swings, start putting scouting reports together. And then we're cross-checking with our guys that actually do scouting reports and see how off you are so you can get to learn. And kind of just, it was more of a learning process and everything. So it was a lot easier on our pitching staff having two pitching coaches, because then we could be at two places at once.
Yeah.
But this year with John leaving, now I'm the pitching coach. So it's my first year running the staff and being a part of it and stuff like that. So having people like Marty Smith, who was the former pitching coach at A&M Corpus, who now works with 12, having my brother in my corner, having John, who I played for and worked with last year, having those guys in my corner, going to them for advice for anything I need has really helped slow down the process, because he left late June, so about a month, or late July, so about a month before we're back on campus. So the wheels were kind of spinning in my head of like, man, I don't know if I'm worthy of this job. I felt like it kind of fell into my lap, but I think as soon as I got into comfort level of knowing that I could do it was when it started to take off, and something that I'm appreciative for. So
Yeah. Man, yeah, that's pretty cool to be 24, fresh out of playing, still in school somewhat, like you said, but to be on a college coaching staff and to get that early jump start. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
yeah, no, and then
and especially for you, like you say, when you were playing, you didn't want to be too far from home. Even now, coaching, you're still only 2.5 hours away.
2:15, 2.5. Yeah. So no, definitely something that I think that's the one thing that I sat and talked with my family a lot was. I think if any other college reached out and said, hey, do you want to do this? I would have been like, nah, I'm good. But the comfort level that I had with Wharton already was the reason why I decided to do it. Because I knew what they had to offer from the coaches to the facilities and stuff like that. So it was definitely something that I knew that it would work out if I just put my effort into it. And so it's worked out to this point. So
as far as the facilities and actual, physical equipment and location there on campus at Wharton, how does it stack up to other JUCOs that you've been to or played at or visited or just gotten a chance to see? I've actually never seen the campus there at all in Wharton, so tell me a little bit about what you guys got.
Yeah, so back in 2019, that spring, the team was playing at the high school there in Wharton.
Okay,
so they were playing at a high school field, small field. It was like 365 to dead center and 305 to down the alleys or in the corners. So it was a very small field for college baseball. But in 2019, they started the construction of a new ballpark for just the college. So we now play at a ballpark called Corbett Park. A man by the name of Duncan Corbett, never had wife, kids, nothing like that. No, really a lot of family. Had a lot of money, wanted to put his name on something, so he chose Wharton County Junior College, and so we have a nice complex at our place. It's the same grass as Bluebell Park at Olson Field. It's the same dirt as Dell Diamond. We keep on upgrading, lights. We got cages with lights inside of them, so it's definitely, in our opinion, a Division I facility at JUCO. I think there's 300 plus junior colleges across the nation. We got ranked the 11th nicest junior college facility in the nation and the number 1 playing surface in the nation.
All right.
So it's something that we take a lot of pride in. We spend way too much money on it. You don't want to know how much you spend on it per year. But it's definitely something that we take advantage of, and it's big in our recruiting process because a lot of places that we play at, either they have turf, it's a nice, nice little setup for junior college, but it's either high school outfield dimensions or they're playing at city parks. So the kind of, on opposite ends of the spectrum of what you find in terms of facilities at the junior college level.
That's awesome. I'll have to look at some photos and videos.
Yeah, they have some drone images on YouTube that you can look up that are really nice, So and it's and we got nice stands. It's kind of like the stands are kind of like Coastal Bend and Beeville, but they're just not covered. So, but it's got like the grandstands kind of like that. So,
sweet.
But the field itself, it's the same outfield dimensions as U of H too. So it's 390 with the batter's eye to dead center, 325 down the corners, and then 365 in the alleys. So
nice.
It's a pitcher's ballpark for sure. So that's another reason why I chose to go to Wharton, because I knew that most of the balls that get hit would be kept in the yard. So
yeah, that's
because
nice.
there's some other places, like I said, that had some high school dimensions. You hit pop up and it's gone. So
yeah, that's pretty sweet. I had no idea that
I think
stacks up that nicely.
So when we did a lot of team camps this fall, and we brought a lot of teams from the Houston area, and even those people that are 45 minutes to an hour and a half away from us have never been out there. Like, I didn't know you had this out here. We're like, yeah, it's weird what happens when you come to Wharton and you got to see our facilities and what we have to offer, and stuff like that. So it's definitely like I said, a big recruiting tool for us.
Yeah, that really is. I'll have to plug some photos and videos into the actual video of this, so that way people can get a visual of what we're talking about.
For sure.
That grass and the playing surface. And it sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm a big natural field guy. I'm not a big turf guy. So
the awesome thing about it is like Coastal Bend rents out their field for high school tournament, like high school tournaments and playoff series, and a lot of schools do that. Our admin says we want you guys and only you to use the field. So it took a long process just to let team camps to go out there.
Yeah.
That just got passed this past year. But so no high school teams practice on it, just us. It's only used for us. So
that's nice.
yeah. So
that's
having
really
an
nice.
admin that backs you up and isn't trying to drain money out of you and really in your corner is big for us too. So
how big of a enrollment does Wharton have?
it's about 3,500.
Okay.
It's a
So
very
pretty
small
small.
junior college, and most of it's commuting. Most people are
Yeah.
commuting from small towns around the area.
Okay.
So it's a ghost town once everybody leaves for classes. So, but other than that, it's pretty small. Most classes are 12 to 15 people.
Okay.
So you have more than 15 people in a classroom. That's a big class for
Yeah.
Wharton County Junior College. So
And is baseball the primary sport there?
yeah, so baseball, volleyball, and rodeo. Those are the three sports that Wharton County Junior College has to offer.
I love it.
So yeah, never really been a big rodeo fan until I got to Wharton, and I'm watching people rope and bull ride, and man, the stories they have are crazy.
Yeah.
Like half of them have more scars than baseball players. They've been through a lot. Like,
Yeah.
2 broken collarbones, torn ACL, shoulder replacement. They're like 19 years old. Like
Yep.
crazy what the stories they go through. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I know that one of the focuses that we wanted to touch on was the benefits and the try to communicate the idea that playing junior college and going the JUCO route is not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
So I want to give you the opportunity to share whatever you would like to for the people to know. Maybe you need to say it to a high school junior who thinks he's gonna go pro, but realistically on paper and performance wise that might not happen, right? To kind of bring him back down to earth, and kind of set the record for them and give them a little bit of another option if they have that if they have that D1 or bust mindset,
Right.
Kind of lay out the benefits of playing JUCO and why you would really recommend that route for a lot of guys.
And I think it goes back to the junior college I played in at the time was a whole different landscape than what it is now. Yeah, you had some Division I bounce backs and stuff, guys that maybe didn't have the grades at the Division I level, or guys that didn't have it mentally, stuff like that, or didn't have the character to be at the Division I level. They weren't mature enough at that level. So you're playing with some guys that either weren't have the best character or they didn't have the grades. But now you're getting guys that are high academic, good character kids, guys that that are playing, that should be playing Division I, that are now going JUCO. I think that has a lot to do with the transfer portal, and also the rule change with the 34 roster limit. It's kind of changed everybody's mindset because we've talked to multiple Division I recruiting coordinators, and they're like, we'd look to bring 8 to 10 high school players in the beginning of the year. Now we're probably looking 4 to 6 because they're so dependent on that transfer portal, just like all those big schools are. You're not really trying to take up roster space with a bunch of freshmen. If you think about it, there's 34 spots. You bring in 12 freshmen. You don't have room to redshirt anybody unless they're injured. That means you're relying on 12 freshmen to produce. And the odds of that happening at most Division Is aren't very high. So that's something that's kind of helped us succeed and kind of helped us in the recruiting path, is letting guys know, like, we're going to send guys Division I, but you want to come and play and get the opportunity to actually play as a freshman. Junior college is the way to go. We actually have multiple individuals on our 2025 commit so far that were once committed or should be committed to the Division I level. We have Lucas Tiareno, who's actually from Corpus, shortstop from Ray, was once committed to Houston Christian. With the whole roster change and the coaching change they have over there, he wanted to go elsewhere. And so we really sold him on the junior college route. And, we committed him, I think, a couple months ago. So we're really excited to have some South Texas. We just recently committed another South Texas player in Zachary Garcia from London High School.
That's right.
We got 2 South Texas guys. So
That's a couple solid gets for
yeah,
you guys.
yeah. So we're excited, and the class we're building this year is we've gotten a lot of calls saying like, man, you guys are building something special. So, but we have quite a bit of guys that, like I said, were once committed to Texas State and other Division Ones that are now committed to us because of the whole. They've gotten phone calls and saying, hey, we just with the roster changes, you're not going to be one of the guys that we're gonna bring in next fall. So it's unfortunate, but we're gonna benefit from it. And with that whole roster changing, it just changed everything. Not just junior college, Division One, mid majors, Division Two, Division Three, NAI. It's all gonna change.
Yeah,
and just kind of grab everybody at the transfer portal kind of thing. So but it's definitely a benefit. A little bit more into our conference. We have the defending national champions in our conference in the Blinn Buccaneers. So, you talk about, playing highly competitive baseball. Like that is something that we play. San Jacks made it to a World Series a lot of times in their recent history. And, guys like Roger Clemens, Andy Pettit went to San Jack. Anthony Bondo went to San Jack. So a bunch of guys that got drafted out of there or went there and got drafted elsewhere. They have a very high reputation. And so definitely a very highly competitive league. And even the teams that haven't had success, and teams like us and teams like Alvin, Coastal Bend, and Galveston, that's our region, that our conference that makes up. Everybody's competitive. There's no walk through week. So definitely something that we're trending in the right direction. We feel like we're third since 2021. We're third most in the entire region, which there's 13 teams in the entire region. Our conference has 6, with those 6 I named earlier. And then the other 7 are in the north, which is Northeast Central Texas, Paris Junior College, Navarro College, Tyler Junior College, Bossier Paris, Angelina, and I'm forgetting one more. Man, I can't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head. But there's one more. So in the entire region, out of those 13 teams, we're actually third in the region since 2021 in wins, behind only Blinn and San Jack. So we've had some success since Trey took over the program, and we're trending in the right direction. So
yeah, I think a lot of people will find this very insightful as far as the junior college outlook, and especially how competitive it is here in Texas.
Oh yeah,
I think you can look at the whole, we'll call it the eastern half of the state, right? That region that you just named, where you've got San Jack, Blinn, Wharton, schools like that. For example, you look at the other side, the western half, and you've got like Grayson Junior College, and
Region 5,
McLennan, just some other schools out there in that other half of Texas that are just as competitive. I know McLennan won a JUCO World Series just a few years ago. So the JUCO scene in Texas is probably more competitive than D1 at some stops.
Well, and I joke when I say this, but I actually mean it. Like, we get calls from Division I coaches, and they're like, "How's the little SEC going over there?" Right? Like, because it's so competitive. I'll just give you an example. Last year, Blinn's starting lineup was probably one of the best lineups I've ever seen. Their catcher was a bounce back from Mississippi State. First baseman was committed to Texas A&M. Second baseman committed to U of H. Shortstop was a high school guy, I think. Third baseman was a A&M transfer. Left fielder was a TCU transfer. Center fielder was an A&M transfer. Right fielder is committed to LSU. Like, their entire 1 through 9 was either committed or coming from the Power 5 level. So that's something you're just having to compete with.
Yeah.
So it really weighs a lot when you go out there and beat those guys. So that's something that we try to do every year. And the last 2 of the 3 years, we've been in the regional championship and had to watch somebody else dogpile, unfortunately. So we're trying to put a good recruiting class together. So we're the ones dogpiling. So
yeah. How much of a role did you play in getting those 2 South Texas guys in Lucas and Zach?
Yeah, so obviously Marty working with 12, both those guys being from 12, that was something that our recruiting coordinator, I and Marty all sat down, and we kind of just like, hey, these are guys that we have to go get that shouldn't be on the board, but somehow they are. Yeah. So definitely something that when I was on the phone with them, I was like, man, like, South Texas baseball, we know exactly what brand of baseball you bring. We know the work ethic. We know you're going to go work your butt off at the next level. This is the perfect place, like, to go out there and work. So super excited to have them. And it was a quick process. because having somebody from South Texas, I don't want to take credit and say it was all me, but having somebody that played in the conference, is now coaching there, has an idea of the landscape and how much success you can have there, definitely played a role. So.
Yeah. Well, cool. We're excited. We'll have to keep an eye out for. They'll be on campus next fall, both of them.
Yeah. So excited to have them, and hopefully we can keep building this 2025 class and keep trending in the right direction. So,
are there any other South Texas guys you have your eye on?
Yeah, well, there's guys on our board a lot, and even in the Valley. Like there's some guys in the Valley that were on our eyes, and just sometimes it's hard to go down to the Valley, and it's not like you're driving to over there in the Houston area where it's like a 45-minute drive to go watch this kid play. You're having to drive multiple hours to go, and we're all over the place in the summer, so it's hard to go see everybody. So we'll go out in the spring when we have time away from playing, and we'll go out and watch a lot of South Texas kids. They've kind of put me in charge of in trying to get the South Texas guys. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. So, yeah. But a big thing is like most junior colleges, you're playing, like I said, at city parks. One thing that Trey loves to do is we try to schedule the hardest opponents and go play at the best venues. We ourselves have one of the best venues in junior college baseball. So we want to play at places like that. So this year we're actually opening up our season at Globe Life. So nice. Getting to experience that, like, we tell our guys, like, hey, no phones, like, keep your phones away, like, don't record or anything. This is the one exception where, like, take your phones out, record us walking into the stadium, record yourself being on the field, take pictures, like, all that stuff, because the odds of you being in the stadium on the field are very low. So soak up all you can. So we always tell them just to enjoy that. So then week 1, we're actually going to Texas State to play Odessa Junior College. So get to play there. And then we turn around and go play at Lamar University. And then week 3, we're like the quote unquote host team, what's called the Bregman Cares Classic. It's run by Alex Bregman's like kind of foundation. And we get to play at the AAA stadium in Sugar Land, which is a AAA stadium for the Astros. So yeah.
You said you're opening the season at Globe Life. Is that a tournament or just?
Yeah, it's kind of like a round robin kind of thing. So we won't go out there and we want to win those games, but we're also trying to get everybody in that game because we want everybody to experience it. So everybody will throw an inning, everybody will get playing time, and we want everybody to experience that and enjoy that because, man, it's the only time, and it might be the only time I've ever stepped on a MLB field in my life. So yeah, definitely going to enjoy it. So
maybe you'll be a coach or manager one
day. Hopefully, maybe if I keep trending in the right direction. So
yeah. Well, cool. Is there anything else you want to add on the JUCO note or anything?
I see the hook, so I'm assuming growing up in Corpus, you're obviously an Astros fan.
Believe it or not, those who know me, I am not an Astros fan.
Wow.
At all.
So what are you a fan? What's your team?
I'm a big Red Sox fan.
I guess that's fine. Well, I'm okay with it because the Astros, we always dominate them, so it's okay. Bregman hits well in Boston, so hopefully he's not a Red Sox at the end of the...
I was going to say, Alex Bregman, is he going to be a former Houston Astro?
So, this is actually a funny little thing. Our personal hitting coach is Alex Bregman's hitting coach. Okay. So, there's no insight because he won't tell it to us, obviously, but we're like, he needs to stay in Houston so that way we can keep our hitting coach here. We're like, Houston needs to step it up and offer him. So hopefully he's still an Astro, but not too sure. But
yeah, I'm a photographer for the Hooks. I love going to Hooks games. I grew up going to them, and I always enjoy going to Whataburger Field and obviously catching high school games there, like the 2017 regional final that you guys won. Yeah. So stuff like that, I think it's a perfect venue for Corpus and for South Texas teams. It's a good neutral site for say the Valley and San Antonio to play at a pro stadium. Yeah, we're very lucky to have it here in Corpus, and it's funny in my mind. I know this is not going to make sense to a lot of people, and they're going to make fun of me, but I like the Hooks, the guys that are Hooks. But once they put the Astros jersey on, you're not quite dead to me. But I'm not an Astros fan.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's a good point you brought up, like having the Hooks here, and like I remember going to the games as a kid, watching Altuve, Hunter Pence. Yeah. All the big Astros. I think that's another thing that keeps baseball in South Texas so hungry is having the Hooks right in your backyard. And you get to go see some future big leaguers out there. But yeah, that's definitely weird because I always get it all the time. from Corpus. I'm a Hooks fan. Obviously Hooks, Astros, but I'm a Cowboys fan. So like, they're like, how does that make sense? Like, wouldn't you be a Houston Texans fan? I was like, that's how you do it in South Texas. You're an Astros fan, you're a Cowboys fan, and you like the Spurs. So like
exactly.
all my teams,
I'm a Spurs fan.
All the teams that I like are kind of, they're not all in Houston area.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough for us little smaller cities with no.
Yeah. So I get a lot of heat for being a Cowboys fan. They've had a rough one this year. So
rough 2 decades, man.
Yeah. I always get asked, why don't you just convert to, Texans fan since you're a Nationals fan? I'm like, can't do it. So yeah. And then I'm a Dallas Stars fan too. So
okay.
Watch a lot of hockey and stuff. So kind of everywhere with sports.
It's always fun when people are talking about big leaguers that have played for the Hooks that are on the Astros. And, obviously they'll talk about Altuve and Yordan Alvarez and Bregman and George Springer, like those guys, Hunter Pence. But I always like to point out the guys who really spent little or no time actually on the Astros, but still played in Corpus. Yeah. So guys like JD Martinez, Kike Hernandez.
Right.
We have a guy, I don't believe he played at all with the Astros on the major league roster, but when he was with the Hooks, my first season taking photos for them in 2022, his name is Wilger Abreu. He's an outfielder, and Wilger Abreu and Emmanuel Valdez, 2 of the Astros' top prospects at the time, they were traded to the Red Sox, and it was actually while the Red Sox were playing at Houston.
Oh, that was the Christian Vasquez trade.
The Christian Vasquez trade.
Yeah.
So obviously the Astros acquire Vasquez while they're playing, so he just switches dugouts, which is got to be weird, I imagine. And the Astros send those 2 prospects to Boston. Well, now Abreu, I believe, I wish I could look it up, but I think he won a Gold Glove this year.
And like his minor leagues or
with the
oh, awesome.
Let me look it up real quick just to make sure. And let me do this in real time.
Yeah.
He's now on their like MLB roster, like plays pretty much every day. And Valdez is kind of a utility guy. Abreu's an outfielder, but Valdez is more of a utility guy. But it's cool to see, like, they were with the Hooks and I took photos of them.
Guys you're around.
Yeah, exactly. Like I interacted with them a little bit, right? But now they're like out in Boston having a career, which is pretty cool. I actually have a few of the Astros phone numbers when they came through Houston. But
you should send those to me.
I'll send them to you. You do what you want with them. But let me see. Wilger Abreu Gold Glove. Yeah, he did. So Abreu.
For what position?
A 2024 Gold Glove. With the Red Sox, he is Boston's first rookie Gold Glove winner since 1975 as an outfielder.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So he's a lefty, throws left, bats left. But yeah, guys like that, like, I don't know if he's changed number, but I have his phone number and I have Cesar Salazar, one of the backup catchers for the Astros. He was super nice guy. He's really cool when he was here with the Hooks. But yeah, it's always cool, like just a little minor league train that comes through here when guys get traded and get to spit some knowledge. Yeah. Like that's fun. I enjoy that. But do you have anything for me? Any questions about anything?
So obviously being in South Texas, what's your favorite South Texas high school baseball game you've ever been to?
That's a good question. Well, I guess in recent years, I probably got 2 that come to mind right off the top. The first one would be 2022 Sinton and Cal Allen at Whataburger Field in front of like 8,000 people.
Was that the game where they jumped in the
pool? Yeah. That's up there because you had 2 D1 pitchers going at it and basically like college lineups on both sides playing at Whataburger Field for the right to go to state. And it's number 1 versus number 2. So in recent years, that's probably the first one that comes to mind. I was also at Carroll and Ray in 2022, I think it was, when they played 14 innings at Whataburger Field on like a Tuesday night.
You know who threw that game for Ray?
Kevin threw like
Kevin's actually at Wharton now.
Is he really?
Yeah, Kevin's at Wharton.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's another South Texas guy I forgot. We have a couple of South Texas guys on the team. We got him, and then we have a gentleman from El Paso.
Okay.
So not a lot of South Texas guys, but we try to bring in every year. So
Yeah. So Kevin threw, I don't remember how much of that game, but there's no way you could.
Yeah, you throw all 14. If you throw all 14 and staying within the pitch limit, you need to get drafted.
I know, yeah. And if your arm doesn't fall off,
yes,
the next
that too. Yeah.
then
So
we need to know the secrets. But those are probably the top two that come to mind. As far as like growing up, I lived in Mathis growing up, so I don't really remember a whole lot of games that I went to on the high school level when I was younger. I remember the hype for games like, 2012 when Allen and Carroll are like top 5 in the nation, regardless of classification. And they're both number 1 in Texas for 5A and 4A, and they play at Fairgrounds Field in Robstown. So I remember the hype for that game. I wasn't there, but just seeing the level of talent and skill playing in that game, I would have loved to have been there and seen it. But yeah, I think those are probably the top games that come to mind. I also love just going out to like a playoff game in San Diego.
Yeah, the smaller ones.
Just the smaller.
Yeah.
Just to go check it out. The small towns, they always have good turnouts. Bishop especially.
I go watch a lot of Santa Gertrudis softball. My stepsister is actually an assistant coach for them. So went to state, I think last year or 2 years. Yeah, 2 years ago. I went to the state tournament where, man, they played really two really good teams, and they almost had it the state championship.
That's a solid program down there for softball.
Always good. Always good. It's always them versus Hallettsville.
Yeah, exactly.
To go to state. So
yep.
Definitely something that's cool. So
anything else from here? Yeah.
So you work with the hooks. Is there guys that are like super like want to be in front of the camera, and then there's guys like, hey, don't take my picture. Like, I don't really care about that stuff. Or is it like kind of just like you just do it, and then they're like,
I'm sure that there are. So I don't work with them in a full-time role. They've always had videographers in a full-time role, but the capacity that I work with them is kind of, if I can make it to a game to take photos, then I'll let them know ahead of time, and I'll plan to be there. And I really only did photos. I would shoot some video clips every so often for them, but you do get some guys that are like really playful, and they're trying to keep
they know where the cameras are.
Yeah, they're trying to keep a positive attitude, because like the grind of a minor league season, and like you're in a slump or whatever, or you just got rocked for 5 runs in the first inning. So like there are definitely guys that try to keep a smile on their face, and they'll pose. A lot of times the pitchers who are not throwing that day, they'll be like grouped together in the dugout right there next to the well, and they'll just like, if I turn the camera even close to them, they'll all like huddle up and they'll like smile for a photo, and they'll make a silly face or something. No one in particular comes to mind, but it's always funny because a lot of the guys speak Spanish, and they'll tell me something in Spanish, and I'm like, I don't really know what you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah. I think that's another thing, is like, I don't speak Spanish at all. It's like, I've always wanted to learn it, but I just, my parents, my mom, my dad speaks it, my grandma speaks it, but never taught me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There, you get some guys that for sure enjoy the camera. They're not like begging to be in front of it, but it's always fun getting those photos. And it's fun when the big leaguers come down on rehab assignments, like when Altuve came down, everyone's there. I was really hoping that Justin Verlander would make it to a rehab in Corpus. He rehabbed in San Antonio, I think it was, with the Hooks, maybe once or twice. But yeah, it's always cool when you get those big leaguers who come down to toss a few innings or get in that bat or two.
Yeah. I think the last like rehab one I went to is 2018 or 19 maybe. George Springer.
Nice.
And it sucked because that same day it was like a no electronics day. So you had to put your phone like in one of those Ziploc cases, and it was locked, and like you couldn't get in your phone. So like you can't even record.
Really?
George Springer, like he hit 2 bombs. Seth Beard, that was with the team at the time, got traded in the Zach Greinke trade, hit a bomb too. You couldn't even record like him hitting home runs. So it kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But that was the last one I went to, but it's always great to see the stands packed when the rehab stuff come through.
Yeah.
But what do you feel about the new Harbor Bridge?
I'm ready for it to be done.
That, yeah, one that I just think the whole backdrop is going to be completely different.
I
I
think
think that was what really, like, the best part of Whataburger Field was like a night game in high school and the bridges lit up in the background.
Yeah,
like,
and it had the lights.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite baseball game ever was like my first district start, my senior year.
Really?
Was a night game against Flower Bluff at Whataburger Field, and I threw a complete game, and I was like, man, this is awesome. Like,
Nice.
let's go play at Whataburger Field every game.
Yeah, that's one thing I never got to do. I never got to play at Whataburger Field.
Mm-hmm.
I played at A&M-Kingsville's field a few
Yeah.
times in some summer tournaments,
Mm-hmm.
right? Played at A&M Corpus's field, but never got to play at Whataburger Field.
Yeah.
But that's all right. I've been to plenty of games there since then.
Yeah.
And, I get to go on the field, during warm-ups or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
it's cool in that sense, right? I get to do a lot of unique things that a lot of people might or likely won't get to do. Man, I think we touched on just about everything.
Yeah.
I appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah.
Like I said at the beginning, you made it easy for me to find somebody. Thanksgiving is tomorrow, so it worked out to where you're in town, and we were able to find an hour and a half to sit down and just talk baseball, talk
Right.
JUCO. And I think the people are going to find this really insightful as far as, Wharton County Junior College as a whole, but also the entire baseball scene at the junior college level. Yeah. So is there anything that you want to add before we close?
No, I appreciate your time and having me on and taking some time before Thanksgiving and letting me talk about the JUCO and promoting Wharton County Junior College, man. But I appreciate your time and hope you have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. You as well. You enjoy your time with your family, and I'm sure in a few years we might not see you at Wharton. Maybe we'll see you elsewhere at a a little bit higher level, maybe at a D1, D2 as a some type of head coach or something, or in some kind of recruiting role. But yeah, we're excited to follow. And again, we appreciate you for reaching out, man.
Yeah.
It's good. And this was actually the first time that we met.
Yeah, it is. So
for
the conversation to kind of just roll and go smooth is kind of cool.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll have you on again sometime in the future. But in the meantime, everybody, have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time with your family. Don't work too hard. And yeah, stay tuned for the next one. We've got a few more guys planned over the next few weeks before the new year. And we're excited to keep pumping these out. So we appreciate you watching, appreciate you listening, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you.
Bro,
4 episodes.
I was gonna wear the jacket.
Really?
I was gonna wear the jacket, the gray one. He's only giving me a gray one, bro. I'm waiting for other colors.
Hold
bro.
on. Look in the camera. And
Yo,
say
it's
that.
one of the most comfortable jackets I've ever put on. I need more. More colors, Kaya. More colors.
So yeah, everyone, be sure to check out Seams Apparel. Check out their website, their Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, they've got a lot of athleisure.
Yeah.
They've got hoodies, shirts, shorts.
Very comfortable.
Very comfortable.
I agree. I think it's some of the most comfortable clothing I've put on for sure.
Another Corpus native, KLM shop, doing something great right there with the clothing line. Be sure and support. Use the code STXBSB10 for 10% off.
I have
And
to write that down.
I'll send it to you. Yeah, be sure to support. We appreciate you guys watching, and let us know who you want us to have on next. We'll try to make it happen.